You're rocking with the voice of Town View. We put our spin on trending topics and school news. Thought-provoking, insightful, we speak the truth. We do it for all ages, not just for the youth. Listen close, you might learn something. Or laugh so hard, you split your side of something. Live stream a podcast. Whenever you tune in, it's sure to be a blast. Let's be honest, you don't want to miss that. Content so real, you're going to want to run it back. We keep you entertained while making an impact. Want boring announcements? Well, this is not that. Sports, pop, culture, political. Whatever you like, we got you covered, bro. It's a movement more than just a show. It's KSBM Radio.
I'm closer to the music.
Broadcasting live from Marvin E. Robinson School of Business and Management, Dallas, Texas.
My radio station.
We are KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
Welcome back, KSBM Radio. This is favorite radio host KG, along with his other favorite radio host
Jody.
Mr. Mike.
KB.
No way I scare y'all for doing that every single time. I do that every time.
I know, I'm sorry.
Anyway, on today's show okay, look, it's not even that serious. Come on. I do that all the time. Okay. On today's episode of KSBM, we have a special guest, our band director from Townview's Big D Grammy Award-winning band, Mr. Gipson.
Woo!
What's up, y'all?
So, today's show, we're going to basically interview about your life, but also the band and just everything in general. So, we can start this right now. Do you guys want to tackle the first question?
Sure. I want to ask the question of what made you choose the music industry and specifically become a high school band director?
What made me choose the music industry was I felt like it's a calling. From childhood, at the age of 3, I've always done music. Starting at 3, I was beating on my mom's pots and pans and starting off with that, drums, and then I moved over to another instrument as I got older. So it's always been a calling on my life. One story that was significant to that is I found out as I got older from one of my aunts that my mom was a singer and in the choir at church, but when she was pregnant with me, she would rub her stomach and sing songs to me. So it has to be one of those things that was ordained by God from birth. But what made me choose high school, it was either high school or nothing. In my earlier career, I did do, I taught at a charter school where I taught elementary all the way up to 9th grade. And doing so, I was like, oh, no. I got to pick or choose which one is going to be. And it was general music class. And I taught, again, from elementary all the way to 9th grade. And when I started to do that, I started to realize and figure out what my niche was. I figured out my niche was more so high school students than the younger grades because, you know, younger grades can be a little bit more needier. Mm-hmm. And you all as high school students are more developed. You already know who you are and what you want to be. So I took it on as my task to make sure that I always have a saying, the first spiel when I come into teaching. I tell my students in high school, hey, my job now is to take you on from here and prepare you for the next step, whether that be college, whether that be a trade, whatever it is. That's what I'm designed to do.
Mm-hmm. And I love how you mentioned the fact that once you said I'm not teaching from this to 9th. I can't do it. And you also explained the fact that you embellished the role of being that person that helps you with that transition, like you said, whether to trade, whether to college. And I feel like that speaks volume about your character, yeah. Which leads me to my next question is, can you introduce yourself to the viewers who aren't familiar with you already?
All right, well, my name is Mr. James Gipson. Of course, they said I'm the director of bands at Townview High School. This is actually my 5th year of teaching, educating students. I never thought that I was going to be an educator. I knew that I love music. I've always done music, playing in churches. I've been the minister of music, playing organ, drums, stuff like that, teaching voices. But I never thought that I would be going down this path. Actually, when I graduated from college, which I attended Prairie View A&M University, the best HBCU here on this planet. Can you agree with that, Khalid? So I attended Prairie View A&M, and I marched in the Marching Storm a couple of years, and then I became the minister of music over BSM, is the Baptist Student Movement over at Prairie View. So I became the minister of music then for my last 2 years at Prairie View. And in the midst of that, I found my niche down there. I was still doing the music stuff there. And when I graduated college, the funny thing is I got a job in New Orleans as a youth pastor. Not even doing music, so I'm like, oh God, what are you doing? I thought I was a music ed major, so I did all 4 years music ed, learning all the pedagogy about music, doing all the stuff musically inclined, and then I'm like, God, you got a sense of humor. I graduated and I'm going to New Orleans. One of the most, that was something difficult for my mom to deal with, especially, or to handle rather. When I graduated from college, she thinking I'm moving back home, and I'm like, nah, Mom, I'm finna go all the way to Louisiana. So I did that for a minute, and then, I just decided that it was time for me to come home and go back to my first love, which was music. And since I've been in music and being the band director, I've grown. Like, I started off at Kimball High School my first 2 years, and I grew that band. They were in the transitional period. I grew that band, and then I moved on to Cedar Hill, where I was the head director over the Collegiate Academy and assistant band director at the high school. And we got sweepstakes with that band at the Collegiate Academy, something that they said that could never be done, but I did it. I proved that it can be done, and from there, I'm here. I spoke. I told the guy that was the director of fine arts at the time, I told him, I said, hey, only way that I'll leave you is if I can come back to my alma mater, which I am a Townview graduate. So graduated from the School of Education and Social Services. So I guess education has always been in my lineup. I just didn't know how it was going to happen.
And that actually could, you answered a bunch of the questions that we had too. But it sounds like it all came full circle at the end of the day. You came back to Townview, and there's different and obviously there's different pathways to go into that isn't what you studied for. You went for music ed, but you ended up going to Louisiana for something totally different.
Totally different.
And that leads into another question I was going to ask that isn't on here. But what was so significant about that journey? Graduating from Prairie View, then going somewhere else to do something that you didn't go to school for, and then coming back full circle.
It was a learning curve for me. It definitely taught me some things about myself and my life. It was actually one of the most interesting parts of my life, as I can say. So like you said, I really stepped out on faith with that. Didn't know what I was doing. Thought, when you graduate, everybody talks about you don't make college a career, but you make a career out of college. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I did my 4 years. I'm finna get into this career. I seen the light to make me a little bit more money, and of course the cost of living in New Orleans, in Louisiana rather, is lower than Texas. So I'm like, okay, I'm finna live big in the city, But it was really something that I really believe that God sent me through to learn, so that I could come back and realize what He really wanted me to do, or what I really should have been doing in my life around this time. So I think that was the significant part about that journey to even coming back here. Things were a lot different when I graduated from Townview, but to see how things are now, I think the way that I chose has prepared me to lead the band and lead my students to the next level. So I think that's what I got out of that journey. Just really being focused and literally doing what I'm designed to do.
Yeah. And
I have a question.
Yeah.
In your opinion, what's the most important personality trait or strength that someone would need to have in order to work in your industry or be successful in that?
Patience. A lot of patience, and you got to be hard working. We live by a creed and a motto here at Townview, Big D Band, and the first couple of lines is working hard is most essential to develop our band to its potential. inferior thinking be set aside by thinking superior, we develop pride. You see our pride as we pass by. For each proud member has his head out high. Pride is what we have, responsibility what it take, cooperation is what we give, work is what we do, hard work is what it take. So I really believe that those words we live by. You know, even if I just did the first 2 lines, working hard is most essential to develop our band to its potential. You gotta be hardworking. You gotta work hard. Like I tell the students all the time, like we spend a lot of time together. It's more than I spend with my own 3-year-old daughter sometimes, because the job is very demanding and you're always looking forward. Like I'm never looking in the now. I'm always looking forward to where we're going and where we're progressing. So you got to be hardworking and you got to have patience, because you're spending time with a lot of different personalities. So you got, sometimes they're good days, sometimes they're bad days. So you got to be patient enough to work with those students and to let them know, hey, one, you know, I got your best interest at heart. Regardless of how hard working we're going to be, it's going to be hard, and it's going to take time to develop that relationship. Just mind you thinking about it, this journey was very significant. When I first accepted the job at Townview, I signed my contract as the assistant band director. Mm-hmm. And then the band director before me, she got a promotion. And we went through the interview process again for me as the head band director. She was like, hey, you know, I got this promotion. Are you going to be good as being the head band director, or do you just want to be assistant? At the time, I just wanted to be an assistant because, you know, I'm in school still. I'm working on my doctor's degree. So I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get here. I'm going to coast. I'm going to chill. But then again, the Lord has something different. He designed something different for us. So what do? I just make the adjustments and I go with it. So with that transitional period, it was different. So these students were just getting to know me as their assistant band director. Now they got to trust me as their head band director to lead them to success, like it was already promised. The Big D band is a big thing around the globe. We're known, so you can't get just anybody in this position. So those were some of the things that we had to accomplish and pursue. So with that, it took a lot of patience, a lot of trust, and hard work.
Yeah, and that's huge. Patience is huge when it comes to learning an instrument. I mean, to just do, let's say, like 2 measures of sheet music, you have to understand like a lot of different things. And I understand that gets real hectic because it's the Big D band.
Students learn differently too. How they learn the music and.
Yeah, some students we have coming in don't have any musical knowledge, and we're just like, hey, come join this band. Okay. But in joining this band, you don't know anything, so we have to teach you everything from the beginning. So, and then we got students that are on different levels. Like we got kids that have been in band a couple of years and they still are progressing and growing too. Mm-hmm. So how do we sharpen their skills and then grow them without holding them back, and then grow these students to get up to their level? So that's a big thing with what we have to think about in planning. So our planning is very strategic too.
Do you feel like that's one of the biggest challenges of managing the Big D band, just managing all these kids at different skill levels and teaching kids from like you said, from literally the bottom of music knowledge to now the top? Yeah,
I think the biggest challenge is getting over the pandemic. The pandemic had really hurt bands, sports, everything. So the level of student that you had before the pandemic is not the same level of student that you have post-pandemic. So that's probably the most difficult thing that we deal with, is getting past the pandemic babies, because we have a lot of pandemic babies. So getting them to understand the work ethic, getting them to understand, hey, trying to play, learn this instrument, yada, 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 that all plays a part into how do we mold this program into being as successful as it's been.
Yeah. Since we're on the topic of students, I'm going to ask, have you ever met a student who has stood out from the others?
A student that has stood out from others? Yeah. Yes, I have. Matter of fact, coming here, one of the students, I'm going to give her a shout out. Her name is Brooke Lou, and she's in tag, and she is a phenomenal flautist. I've never heard anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. You could put music in her face and she can play it like that. Brooke is so, I'm gonna use the word cold. She's so cold at what she does that we've had a couple of kids that have been sick doing solo and ensemble time, and she's literally felt in that position for those kids, and those kids got 1 ratings to go to state in solo and ensemble. Wow. So it's unheard of. It's almost like she eats, sleep, and dream flute. But it comes from the simple fact Brooke has been doing music since like the age of 6 or 7. So yes, she stands out to me. And I have a lot of well-rounded students, but off the top, she stands out the most to me.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about the band, and would you have any advice to those who are trying to get in the band?
Yeah, come with a positive mindset. It's definitely going to be a lot of work, but anything that comes easy is something that you shouldn't be working for. If it comes easy to you, you shouldn't want it. You shouldn't work for it. But if it's something that you put your time into, it causes a couple of challenges, that's something that's lasting. We don't want things in life, to achieve things in life that's going to be short, or achieve things in life that's only lasting for a moment. So those things that we achieve for life, that we want to achieve, it needs to be lifelong and lasting a long time. So we work hard. Like I said in that creed, we work hard because it's essential. Not even just in band, but it's essential to life. And those are the principles that we work in with the band. I don't want to just mold you to be the best bandsman. I want to mold you to be the best person in life. Because if you have character in your life, then you do a justice to me and to the society once you leave me. So those are my mindset. Those are my principles. Those are things that I instill. So not only you join the band where you get band principles, but you will give long lasting life principles that you can carry out for the rest of your life. So that's what I would encourage students, and also be ready to have fun. We do have fun. We're doing some new things. There's some new branding stuff that we're coming with. We're starting a media team. We got a TikTok, so y'all follow us on TikTok, TMC Band. They got me to do one yesterday. But follow us because we're looking at band and approaching it at a different direction. It's not just going to be one of those things where you're just going to be working hard and you don't benefit from it. So if you're looking for an organization that's progressive, that's winning, that's one thing. We're winners. We win. We put that in your mentality. We're winning. I tell the students all the time, you don't work this hard to get second place. Yeah. You never work that hard to get second place. First place will always be what you want to come out with. Now, it's going to be some challenges to get there. There's some growth. There's some growing pains. But first place, it should be the thing that you're targeting and reaching every day in life.
So we know the band is well known everywhere and has been featured in many events and programs. What's the experience of, or the highlights of?
The best highlights in that is giving students an opportunity to travel and go places that they have probably never been before. That's the most rewarding thing for me as a director. Being able to allow my students to be able to see other sides of the world other than Oak Cliff and the Trinity River. We're right next to the Trinity River. You see that every day. You see that Dallas skyline every day. But how many people can say you've been to New Orleans? We've gone there. How many people say you've been to Japan, Tokyo? How many people say you've been to Florida? How many people can say you've been all over the place, Atlanta? When I was here in the band, Mr. Hill, the GOAT, he took us to D.C. for the inauguration of President Obama. So those are things that you never forget. I still remember that. To this day, I still have my Obama T-shirt that I got from that inauguration, and my mom still has the glass that I bought her, the coffee mug from that inauguration. So those are the most rewarding places. Regardless of how much we perform, we could do all these battle events, we could do all this stuff, but the most rewarding part is giving students the opportunity to see a side of the world that they've never seen. And, and being in this position, I've had students that have never been to Dave & Buster's before. And we went to New Orleans the past year in 2022 for our fall trip. And in New Orleans, when we stopped, the first stop was there at Dave & Buster's. And to see the students having so much fun, like didn't want to leave. They were eating. The band took care of it all. We made sure that they was fed. They was playing. They was coming up to me, Mr. Gipson, you got another card, another game card? I'm like, sure, here. You know, and that was a highlight. And just seeing kids saying, man, I've never been to David Buster's, but we got David Buster's right here in Oak Cliff, or right in town off of 75. And students have never had the experience. So that's what I'm about, giving you experiences that you've never had before.
Yeah. And I briefly remember y'all mentioning this a long time ago. It was like a totally different conversation. But has the Big D Band ever been featured in like music?
Yes, we've been in commercials before. Actually, the band was featured in a Ford commercial that still is televised to this day. Yeah. I wasn't in it. I'm a little jealous because they said there's some hefty checks that they've received for being in there, but it is what it is. But we've done things with artists. We've done things where one of my highlights marching in the band is when the Cowboy Stadium was built in the new stadium area that they're in. We were the first band to march around it and open up for the Cowboys game. So those are some of the things that we do. We highlight the band. We still get calls all over to go to different parades or do different performances. This year we did a World Cup soccer performance. So those are big things that we've done. We opened up for the World Cup just a couple of weeks ago. We did that. So
wow.
Yeah,
The World Cup is wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Huge stuff, man, happening for the Big D Band. Yeah, you should have joined band. What you waiting on? You're a senior now. Got the ring on your finger.
Too late now.
Yeah, I know.
You can do it. You can do it in college.
Yeah, you can do it in college. I got some college connects for you.
Yeah. And speaking of like the idea that it's all like it's a bunch of highlights and it's just everything that the Big D Band is associated with is greatness, essentially. And can we talk about the Grammy?
Yeah, we can talk about the Grammy.
Let's talk about the Grammy.
We can talk about the Grammy. Before me, Miss Washington, again, she did all the things and followed the steps to now the band and the music department actually is known as a Grammy signature school, which it means that the music department, the band, and the orchestra and the choir, all three entities, are Grammy Award winners. Had I known you was going to ask me about that, I could have brought the Grammy up for folks to see. But yeah, the band is a Grammy signature school, music department, and what came along with that was also a scholarship for the band department, the music department, and the choir department and the orchestra, excuse me. And we were able to do some things with that scholarship to help advance our music programs. Like for us in particular, we were able to offer students with private lessons because we don't have a private lessons thing that's in place district-wide for the students, but through our booster organization, we were able to add private lessons for the students so they can advance and help their skill level. So yeah, your school, your band is a Grammy signature school, and also choir and orchestra. I never want to leave them out because we have phenomenal orchestra and choir as well. Choir. So though our music department is known for Grammy.
Wow, awesome. That is huge, and it's not like just any other high school has a Grammy. We have a Grammy. We have a Grammy.
We have a Grammy.
Grammys.
If you come in my office, you can see the Grammy.
I've seen it. It's
no
great.
other school had that, huh?
No, they don't have that.
Wow. No, we're not a regular high school.
Yeah, no.
We have 3 Grammys in 3 different positions.
Yes,
it's crazy.
yes.
So, I like to say because that's the band is just such an amazing program, and I know it's changed like your life and your perspective on just music in general. Looking back, what could you say is like a reflectionary moment that you had? Like, you know how sometimes athletes, they'll, like, for example, they won the NBA Finals, and they'll look back and be like, dang, like, I really just won this. Like, have you ever had a moment like that?
Yes. I've had a lot of moments like that. When I first got here, we only had 57 students on roster in the band. My predecessor told me that we had like 80 plus, but 80 plus wasn't showing up. During band camp, it was like 57, 60 at the max. first week of school, we got in there. We started hitting the iron. I started telling students draw students. Tell a friend, bring a friend. The band in a week doubled to 120.
Wow.
And that started my moment. Like the numbers are back. From there, 120 has gone up to like 150. I'm like, yes, we finally getting it. 150 is now projecting to like 200 plus next year. Wow. And I'm just like, yes. But also, you know, with that starting off, it was a little rough to trying to train. The significant thing about our band, we have a lot of students that are younger. We didn't have a big senior class this year, so we have a lot of younger students. But you know, it was a con and a pro at the same time. The con was with younger students. For band terminology, you have band members that play with a more immature sound. Because they're younger. They still have to be shaped and molded into where we need to be. So starting off at the beginning of the year, we was like, we got some growing to do. But then now, when I walk into the band hall and I hear those students playing, and to see how much growth they have made, it's like, oh my God, it's gonna be dangerous.
Yes.
So this is my plug for any other bands that's trying to come for a Townview band. It's gonna be pretty dangerous. So you better come ready, cause we getting ready and we gonna be ready. Like Deion Sanders said, we coming. We are coming. So that's my shameless plug for anybody out there that's watching this. But those are some times. But then also seeing their success in life in their livelihood, and seeing what they're doing outside of band. Though I tell the students all the time, nobody has to write my name down and says, Mr. Gipson, you're a great band director. Nobody has to give me accolades. My accolades come from the student success, and I live by that. You know, you don't have to give me a Grammy Award. You don't have to get. No, I'm not gonna say that. Give me the raise. I want the raise. But you don't have to put my name in the lights, because at the end of the day, there's more than just me, like making this thing happen. We have a phenomenal associate director of bands, Mr. Brian Ward. You'll be hearing from him, and then our percussion instructor, Mr. Jerry Walker. Phenomenal guys, man. I call them my left and my right hand man, because without them, man, I don't know how much we would be able to get done. They handle the other stuff when I'm able to step away and handle the overseeing the things and making sure that the band is in a great place. So to see the small wins lead up to big wins is always that aha moment for me.
Yeah.
With all the successes that y'all have had, what is your vision for the band in the next 5 or so years?
We're going to keep on building off our winning legacy, but I always tell the students, I don't want you to just think about this moment. Think big. Think big. Like I did say something about us taking over Dallas and all that other stuff, but I want the students to think bigger than that. I want us to be able to, like I just was talking to the other directors, and I was like, man, y'all ready to cut an album? Those are the things that I'm thinking about. So as we are building on the success of the band, but we're going to be the high school band that cuts an album. We're going to be the high school band that travels all over the world. We're going to be the high school band that gives students opportunities to be highlighted all over. We have different entities. I forgot to mention one guy that's joining us on the staff is going to be our low brass instructor, Mr. Adam Douglas. He owns his own music business, and with that, students are going to be able to be highlighted through doing brass ensemble, low brass ensemble, all these different entities. So my thing is, I always talk about legacy. I tell the students, when you leave here, what is your legacy? Everybody should walk around and be like, Khalid graduated, and he left his imprint on the school so much that I remember him and I remember what he did. So as I challenge my band scholars with that, I challenge myself with that. As a student, I made a legacy. I made an impact to where I'm here now, you know, as the director. But now I'm now being the director, thinking about what's going to be my legacy. You know, what's going to be my impact that I leave? What's going to be my mark, my stamp, especially with knowing that we had some heavy hitters as a band director before. Mr. Hill was the GOAT. He was the GOAT. And people still know him as the GOAT to this day, and I'm indebted to him because he gave me an opportunity, you know. And then Miss Washington, to come back behind that, she's a GOAT. She knows her music. She knows her stuff. So now we got baby GOAT James in here. What you gonna do? So I gotta live up to the legacy, but then I'm also making my own stamps and marks on the band.
Throughout this entire podcast, you've been giving a lot of inspiration. I want to ask, who is your inspiration?
Woo! I got a couple of inspirations. That's a good one. Mr. Hill was one of my inspirations. And like I said, he was the GOAT. Mr. Hill gave me an opportunity to highlight my talents, my skills, made sure that I had everything that I needed to be successful. But then also, my inspiration is my 3-year-old baby girl. Her name is Ava. Aww. And that's my why. That's my reason for doing everything that I do, because I want to make sure that she's in a place of success, and she don't have to wait until she's older to get that success. I'm building that now. I've always been a stickler for generational wealth. So that's my why. That's my person that I need to sow into. I don't have a son, so as long as I got this little girl, I got to do what I need to do to make sure that she's set off for success, because I'm living my life and I'm into my career, my success now. So every day, that's my motivation. That's my why. I have a little picture. If you ever come into my office, I have a picture of her that sits right there to remind me of why I do what I do. And I tell my students all the time, I would never do anything less that I wouldn't do for you that I wouldn't do for my own daughter. So that picture reminds me every day. She came to my office Saturday and she tried to take the picture and hang it up on the wall. I said, no, give me that. This needs to be right here in my desk to remind me every day of why I do what I do.
That's real. That's beautiful. And we're approaching the end of it. Approaching the end of the podcast. It's been amazing having you on this podcast.
I don't know why it took you so long. Y'all should have had me on first. No. I'm just playing.
But it's been truly been a pleasure to have you on this podcast. It's a lot of, like Mr. Mike was saying, it's a lot of very influential things you're saying. And the success of the Big D Band has been something that's been going on ever since you were in school. And for all of us around, even us being like a media team itself, we understand that there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I remember the day that
you have to get put into.
A lots of work, and even me going to like the Hilton to do photography for you guys, like, bless you.
Thank you.
When I saw that, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I'm just taking pictures.
Yeah.
And it's the whole idea of just being, and you're the head director of this band, and I think the final question is like, how does it feel?
Ask me that in about 3 or 5 years. Right now, it's still scary. Like I said, I got some big shoes to fill. This guy and this young lady, they are very successful and talented, and I'm not scared. I love challenges, but I know that the honeymoon isn't over yet. Yep. So every day I'm still working to develop the band. So ask me that question. That means you got to have me back. So tell your people that are going to be filling y'all spots that they got to have me back so that I can answer that in 3 or 5 years. And once we are really, really at a place that I can tell you that. But right now, it's one of those things, like, I know that there's big shoes that I got to fill. So every day I put that in my mind, but I don't let it psych me out. It's my motivation to let me know that we got to keep going and we got to keep striving every day.
Perfect. And that about wraps up today's KSBM Radio podcast. Here with the favorite radio host, KG, and his other favorite radio host,
Jody,
Mr. Mike,
and KB.
You guys are always special in every single way. Shout out to Mr. Gipson, our special guest director of the Big D Band here at Townview Magnet Center, as well as our media team, our beautiful, beautiful media team, production in the background. Ms. Shipman's in the other room right now, and we will see you guys in the next podcast episode.
Adios.
Thank you for listening to KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
My radio station.
We hope you enjoyed the great content and great discussion, all from a student's perspective. Make sure to follow us on Twitter for the latest updates at KSBM_TVT or on Facebook at KSBM Radio.
Add them on Facebook.
Check them on Facebook.
Take care.